When the plague came to Norway, there was one farmer who saw her, the old woman with the ashen face, a long way off, and he ran back to his farm in the Yortsland Valley, and he gathered together his children, his 4 sons and his little daughter that his wife had left behind when she died. And he said, "Boys, you must stand with me. We must send people away and protect the farm and keep the plague from coming." "And what about me, Father?" Well, her father turned and grabbed the little girl by the arm and threw her into the storeroom and locked the door. "What are you doing?" "You must stay in the storehouse until the plague is past." "But I want to be with you." The next day she could hear her father and her brothers yelling at people, telling them to stay away. There was a lot of noise. The next day it was just her brothers' voices. And the day after that it was only the youngest, the closest to her in age, and he was mumbling and singing like he was out of his mind with fever. "Sing with me. Where do you go, little sister? Sing with me." "Where do you go, little bird? Can you hear me? When it snows, when it snows." But he never answered her. The storehouse was comfortable enough. It was warm enough, and there was water from a rain barrel on the roof that had been fed into a trough for the animals. She had chickens and a cow, plenty of grain, even vegetables from the root cellar. The days turned into weeks. The weeks turned into a time she could not count, until those 4 walls became her whole world. She couldn't remember what it was like to be outside or to hear the sound of human voices in her ears. One morning she woke up and she could hear the mockingbird going through his repertoire. She thought she would sing back to him. "Where do you go, little bird?" But her heart cracked with the memory of her brother, and she didn't talk or sing after that. After an eternity, or just a little while, she heard footsteps, boot steps coming her way. The word soldier popped into her mind with an accompanying picture, and just when she thought that, the door flew open and the soldiers let in the sunlight. It was so blinding. And the wide, wild world. It was too much for her. She screamed and ran into the woods. The soldiers tried to track her, but they couldn't. The captain called them back together and said, "We are on a search for food. We must go on to the next village." When they got there, they told the people about the little girl who had survived the plague. They decided that they were responsible for that little girl, and though it wasn't easy, they went and found her in the woods, and they coaxed her, like the wild thing she was, back to their village, where one of their women who had always wanted a daughter took her in and raised her, loved her into humanity again. And when she was a grown woman, she found a husband in her new village, and she took him back to the Yortsland Valley, to the farm where she had survived the plague, locked in that storehouse. And they cleaned and they cleared and they planted. And when she had little ones of her own, she would hold the babies with their head on that spot where she fancied she could still feel the marks of a father's desperate love that kept her safe from the plague. And she would sing in memory of her brothers. "Where do you go, little bird, when it snows, when it snows? Is there something in the wind brings a chill to your heart? in your wings? Does it whisper, start again?